Okay, so we just introduced the concept of business cycle. Essentially, that refers to the fluctuation, of our economy, right? So in terms of the damage of the recession, the most important impact of recession, or the worst part of recession, is its effect on the ability of workers to find and hold jobs. Okay, like this background picture shows. So this is a typical picture will show up during recession. So people is going to line up for jobs or line up for unemployment benefit. Right, so that's the biggest damage to our economy, because if people lost their job, and then so they are going to lose their income, so that's going to create poverty. Right, actually, if they lose the income, so they are going to have lower demand, so that's going to make the recession even worse. Right, but certainly that explains why during the recession the government will do many things to help the economy, to help to restore the spending. Like during the current COVID-19 caused recession, so the government extend unemployment insurance benefit. The government also offer the households financial support, right? So all the government trying to do is to restore the spending. Right. Right. So there's a video to understand the cause of the recession. And so, but that just refers to like different view. So I may just wait toward the end of today's class to watch the video. For now, let's look at a practice questions. The question asks the use of taxes and government spending to change the overall level of spending in the economy is called. So in the one slides, we differentiate between monetary policy and fiscal policy. And then here the answer is actually it is a fiscal policy, right? So this is going to affect the economy through adjusting government spending and the taxes. And the monetary policy has the same goal, which is affect the overall level of spending, but with this different instrument. Okay? So monetary policy will change the money supply. Next one. Do you think the government is right to begin massive spending program during deep recession? So based on the discussion we have so far, the answer is yes, right? Actually, so the Hoover's failures largely relies on their belief the government shouldn't do anything. But certainly that gives rise to the Keynesian economics. The government should actively intervene the economy to help the economy recover from recession. Okay, now we look at the third topic. So what we have learned, what we have discussed so far, we started with the origin of macroeconomics. And then, so I show you the definition of business cycle. Now we will look at long-run economic growth. Okay, and then this slide is going to explain to you what long-run economic growth can bring to us, or in other words, why long-run economic growth is so important. Okay, and here we look at U.S. economy, and we look at 3 different years: 1905, 1955, and 2005. Okay, and then here we look at a percentage of homes with certain products. Okay, let's say, for example, electricity. In 1905, in the United States, there are less than 5% of households, they have electricity at home. But then in 1955, so pretty much the entire American has been electrified. Now in 2005, you have the same things, right? So clearly you can see, so there's an increase in quantity if we look at electricity. And then what's behind this increase in quantity is because of economic growth. Right? So other way to look at the benefit of economic growth is look at, say, for example, cell phone. Right? So cell phone, it becomes cheaply available in 2005, but cell phone wasn't available in 1955 or hasn't been invented. Okay? And not to mention 1905. What that means is if we look at the economy across time, over time, you can see we have new products, new service coming up. So that just refers to the quality of life. Okay? So on one dimension, you have quantity. On the other dimension, we have quality. But the improvement in quantity and the quality coming from economic growth. Okay? The other way to look at economic growth is look at real GDP per capita. So the real GDP per capita essentially is the per capita income in real term, which is going to be the main topic in the chapter right after this one. All right. And from here, you can see the change in real GDP per capita from 1900 to 2013. So you can see, so this number has increased by 8-fold. Or in other words, if we use the same price level, or if we factor in the change in the price. So a person lives in 2013, so he can afford 8 times more compared to a person lives in 1900. What's behind this? Again, economic growth. Okay. So I want to emphasize long-run economic growth is a relatively modern phenomenon. Before 1800, or in other words, before Industrial Revolution, in long human history, there wasn't much growth. Okay. So the growth is a recent phenomenon. Okay. And here there's a case study. So from this case study, we can further appreciate the importance of economic growth. Here we compare two countries, Canada and Argentina. So both countries start 20th century with very similar economic achievements. Right? But now, if we look at their current situation, okay, so Canada, they have a standard living is almost 3 times as high as Argentina. And then you may be wondering what happens during the past century, largely because they took quite different paths, and then so their economic growth experienced quite different story. Okay. Now, the next topic is going to be price change. Now, so here, so I'm going to explain to you inflation and deflation. Okay. So what is inflation? Inflation is a rising overall price level. Remember here, this is a change in price, but this is a price for overall level. Meaning, so this price is going to include many different things. Like in the bottom of this slide, so I show you the price change for different goods. Right? So this includes hourly earning, which is wage rate, eggs, roast coffee, white bread, gasoline. Right? So you can see, so their change in terms of price is not equal across different goods and services. And then so here, so this rising overall price level essentially is a weighted average change. Right? So if the overall price increase, and then we call this inflation. Otherwise, we call this is a deflation, right? So we say the economy has price stability when the overall level price changes slowly or not at all. So for example, if the inflation is less than 2%, or the deflation is also less than 2%, and then so we say we have price stability. Or in other words, as an ordinary citizen, you may not notice the change in price. Okay, so this is inflation and deflation. So in the short run, the movement in inflation are closely related to business cycle. Okay, and so in reality, so when economy is in recession, typically inflation will go down. On the other hand, when the economy is booming, inflation will rise. But keep in mind, so this is only a short-term phenomenon, like in a few months. If we look at longer time horizon, the overall level price is mainly determined by change in the money supply. Will not correlated with business cycle. Okay, this is short run versus long run. And you may wondering, why should we care about inflation? Okay, so this is because both inflation and deflation, they will cause problems to our economy. Okay, start with inflation. If there's inflation, meaning the price increase quite significantly. Just imagine, so if you just receive your paycheck in the morning, okay, if the inflation is so high such that if you wait until in the afternoon to buy your bread, and then you find out so the bread price already doubled, okay, and then so what are you going to do? So you may not want to hold cash, or alternatively, so you want to use your cash as soon as possible. You are going to hoard in the actual goods, okay, to avoid the decline in the purchasing power of your cash. So this inflation is going to discourage people to from holding on cash. And in extreme case, people stop using cash altogether. So they are only going to hold the actual goods. So that's going to reduce the economic efficiency in the economy. Right? So this is the cause of inflation. Also, you should realize if there's inflation and the people must spend a lot of time do the shopping or do to withdraw the cash from the bank. So that's going to create some transaction costs. Right? So this is a problem with inflation. Okay. On the other hand, so the deflation also cause problem to the economy. So if the price level keep declining, okay, meaning so the same $100 is going to give you higher and higher purchasing power, and then so you may not want to spend. You may want to hold on your cash, because the cash you are going to hold will bring you higher value over time. Okay, so that is a problem with deflation. And furthermore, so this deflation will deepen a recession because you don't want to spend, because the overall spending will decline even further. Right. Okay, let's just stop for 5 minutes.